Okay, I'm just making sure that we're all on. Let me check the D Live side of things. Okay. Alright, doesn't look like we're on D Live. That's weird. I don't know if it's connecting properly to. I know it takes time though. And then I gotta check my Twitch audience. Oh no, there we are. Alright, so give me a second. This always takes a sec.
Pop it's alright.
There we go. Alright, now we'll get out of here. Alright, we're good, I think. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to my regular Wednesday night live stream. I have today with us Joel, Agius. I feel like, am I echoing?
No, that's all right.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's still fine on this end, yeah.
Okay.
All good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so today I have Joel Agius. He's a contributor to, I feel like you have me on on your end. Is there another tab that's open where I'm playing?
No.
Is it me? No, it's not me either. That's weird. All right. So today, guys, sorry, I'll just.
That's all right.
Make like it's not happening. I have Joel Agius. He is a contributor to The Spectator Australia as well as The Good Source. I found him through the person who discovered him, which I think is Alexandra Marshall. So all credit goes there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Before we continue, I will start my tradition. I've actually been really slack with this. I'm going to read a lovely Bible verse in the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. I think that's a lovely verse to actually read. And before we actually begin with the interview, I just wanted everyone to know that I actually came from Melbourne. I'm currently in the Wagga Wagga area. And the reason I wanted to mention that was because I wanted everyone to know that I had called like 4 or 5 different Christians to pray over me, to pray for me, to pray to make sure that I got over. There was no border closure or anything like that, but I still think it's a little miracle that I am here now to be able to carry through with the interview with Joel here. And I just wanted I wanted everyone to know that. I wanted that to be acknowledged, that whilst I didn't have to deal with any border control or anything like that, I still think the fact that I got over and that I'm back is a little miracle. And I want to thank those who did pray for me, because the good Lord is watching over me. And I've been a very slack Christian lately, and I need to up my game and realize that I am blessed, and a lot of us need to be more brave when it comes to that kind of thing, because I was actually a little scared and I let the fear consume me. And so for those who are praying, Joel, you included, I thank you for all of that.
Oh, good.
Okay, so let's start with the interview. Joel,
yep.
How old are you?
So I'm 21 at the moment.
Oh, you're just a baby. You could be my son.
Yeah,
no, just kidding.
Probably.
I mean, I'm about maybe 13 or 14, but still.
Yeah.
It's good to see a new face in the game. I'm really glad that Alexandra Marshall discovered you and that you are doing what you're doing. And I'm really, really pleased to have this conversation with a fellow believer. And I know you consider yourself a conservative. I no longer hold that title, but I am very much still, if we're going to use the spectrum, which I find retarded, I am still technically on the right. So tell me a little bit about how you how you politically identify, how you got there, and why you're there.
So I only really got into politics sort of in my sort of last years of high school, really. It wasn't until probably around year 10. I think I mentioned this on Alex Marshall's show, that I only really got into it around the time that the Abbott Turnbull saga was going on in the Liberal Party. So that sort of piqued my interest in it. And then I sort of started to, I guess, started to identify with the more conservative sort of side of things. So I don't know how I got there. Like, so it's been a busy few years, but I honestly don't know how I got there exactly, but something just must have clicked at some point. And I thought, okay, this is where I want to be. I don't want to be over there on the left side of things. I want to be over here on the sort of more rational side of things. So and then I started sort of in the last few years. I've always been big on writing, so I wanted to get into the political writing game. So, I mean, it used to be, just short stories and fiction and stuff for me. But then once I got into politics, it was just, okay, we're going full ball politics. I don't think I've written a sort of real creative piece in about a year or so. So, I mean, that's sort of tapered off a bit. Yeah. But once I started writing sort of political opinion pieces and stuff, I thought, this is something I want to sort of do more of. And I sort of went from there, tried to find some sort of, I started my own blog to start with to try and get some of my stuff out there. And then once I sort of came across, who was it, John Ruddick at the time, and had a chat with him, and he told me to have a look at
him.
Yeah, he had a look at. Yeah, same. He had a look. He told me to try and get some stuff written up for the Spectator and everything. So I started. It still took me about a year or so to get everything in order for that, and then once I started writing for them and getting things published with them, and then obviously Alex Marshall put me on to Dave at the Good Source and started writing for them, and here we are. So
well done. Well, you're in good company at the Good Source. It seems you have
for sure
positive people around you. You make sure, please, and I'm telling you this as someone who was an idiot and easily led. And I wish I wish I didn't have to say that I was easily led at the age group that I am. You make sure that you remain around those people and that they influence you in a positive way. And you make sure are you good at reading people?
Generally.
Okay, stay away from certain people, and you make sure that you have people like Alexandra and Dave Pellos and the people that you seem to already be mentored by. Make sure that they're aware of maybe not everyone that you're around, so that you're being spied on, but you just make sure that if you're not sure about someone that you ask, because I don't want
definitely
to be led astray. And I wish that I'd been a little bit more more picky with the people that I associated with. So
for sure.
Well done. But no, Joel, I love John Ruddick. I'm so pleased that he allowed me to interview him, and hopefully one day he'll return the favor. That'd be awesome. But it is what it is. So what do you find to be, and this is a dumb question, but I still want to hear the answer. What do you find to be illogical about the left that makes you want to belong more to the right?
I think it is a mix of things. So, particularly in the last few years, where the whole rabbit hole they've gone down with sort of gender ideology and identity politics and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of and how that sort of pervades into the school system and stuff as well. Even the last couple of years studying at a university level, you sort of see how particularly how things like sort of cultural Marxism and sort of those leftist sort of ideals have come into that space and taken over, and sort of, it's quite biased in terms of a lot of the professors are quite biased, I think, as well, in that sense. I've had my run-ins with probably loss of marks due to certain views and certain expressions, and probably certain people I've interviewed along the way. But I think
you haven't interviewed me yet.
No, but I'm sure if they figured out, who you were, then they'd probably still mark me down for it. But
why are you hanging out with her?
Yeah, exactly. But particularly like the education system's been a big thing for me, because I sort of like, I've wanted to sort of find a way to, I suppose, try and bring that back to a level where at the very least, kids are getting
I'll
sort of
pop these up throughout the show.
all good.
I don't always read them, but sometimes I like people to see like some comments. But anyway, so keep going.
Yeah, all good. Particularly, like, I think I want to have it brought back to a level at least where students can sort of hear, if they're going to hear politics in schools, they've got to hear both sides of the argument at least, so that they can make their own decision, not hear just one side and say, okay, that's where my loyalties now lie. And I think it's getting worse sort of as we go now, because, you know, they're now encouraging kids to go and do climate strikes and all that, and give up time in their education, give up valuable education time to go and do things like that really aren't going to do anything for them. I mean, they can go on and say, oh, you know, we're not going to have a future or whatever. But I mean, it's just real nonsense at this point. I mean, they're being really used as political sort of chess pieces at this point, and taken advantage of. So, yeah.
And in my state of Victoria, I mean,
gosh.
I am a Sydney-sider now. My driver's license proves this, but they stick themselves to the road.
Oh, like, it's just crazy.
Oh Lord!
I saw a few weeks ago, I think it was, there was a bit on the news about a bunch of the Extinction Rebellion people who had chained themselves to a car, which ironically was a hybrid car. So I mean, you know, they sort of self-defeating at this point.
It's very self-defeating. It's like, why are you even worried about the climate now? You're not keeping in the sequence. Right now we're worried about C19, which I'm going to keep saying C19. Yeah, I'm not going to use the term. So yeah, I should have told you that prior to. So C19 and the word inoculation. Yeah, or jab. Those are the words, so that we don't get like shadow ban. But yeah, like it's like you guys, you know, BLM, like that's so last year, and you know, climate change. So 2 years ago, like what's going on? Like
get with the program, honestly.
Get with the program. It's like those things are just media distractions. So that's what's quite amusing, I find.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about you said that you were in our private conversations that you're Catholic. Now, obviously, you know that I'm not.
Yeah.
But we've had healthy debates at this stage.
Yeah.
I haven't, you know, called anyone to have you beaten yet. But no, just kidding. But like Carl Streho, who is a Twitter follower of both of ours, like sided with you in our little Catholic versus Protestant showdown. But
sort of
again,
mini thing,
I don't feel the need to really focus on that as an issue at large. I just felt like it was an interesting diversion. I have all my family in Colombia. Every single one of them is a Catholic. So I don't hate Catholics. Someone once said that I said that I did hate them, which is odd. If I did say that, I was really stupid to say. I just don't remember ever saying that, because how can I say that when everyone in my family is Catholic?
Exactly.
Tell me why you're Catholic. Is it because you were raised that way? Because I was raised a Protestant. I walked away from it. When I say I walked away from it, I just mean that I walked away from the restrictions and the confines of the church element, but I was still always a believer. But then I came back to it really, really strong the last 2-3 years.
Right.
And so when people say, "Oh, you were just raised as that," like when I'm on with pagans or with atheists, they're like, "Well, you were just raised as it too," and I'm like, "Well, yes, but no, because I made up my own mind at this point, you know." So how do you answer that question?
So for me, I mean, I was raised like Catholic, so I was raised that way. I've always been like, you know, church every weekend.
Go Jesus!
You know, generally, exactly. We need more people on that team. But
go team. Oh wait, no.
Well, but anyway, so I grew up in it. I sort of only really, I suppose, like only the last few years, I've started to get more sort of analytical with like looking at the Bible, and like I've got a series I'm doing at the moment over on my blog where I look at sort of biblical passages and stuff, and sort of the biblical text, and relate it to sort of the modern day and everything, and sort of like different topics and stuff that of discussion.
If I agree with any of that, I will share it. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I haven't written one in a couple of weeks, but that's, you know, because of uni assessments and stuff that take up a lot of time. But there'll be another one out probably this week. But I've done about 10 of them so far, and I've found that like I've even like, you know, learnt stuff myself throughout doing that. I've, you know, found new passages that I've really connected with, and like I've even like the last few years I've been teaching scripture in one of the primary schools in the local area. So yeah, so
woman one day. That's so darling.
So yeah, so I take the Year 6 class, which is, you know, the most sort of challenging one, because they're you know, they're the oldest at the school, so you know they give you a good little bit of a challenge here and there. But I mean, like I've found over the last, like even last year, the class I had last year, I learnt so much from them as well. Like, you know, it's like a two-way thing that you teach them, but they also teach you. They come up with some answers that you're just like, wow, I wish I'd thought of that. And so I suppose I've connected more with my faith on sort of the last few years, particularly, you know, having gone through things like pretty severe anxiety and all that sort of stuff over the last, say, since about like when it came back up, since about early 2019, I think it sort of flared up again, sort of, you know, I've really found that
the world was going to end, the climate change.
No, just you know, that's just, you know, nonsense for me. But that, like, more for me, it's just, you know, I think sort of my sort of tendency to be very self-conscious and sort of, you know, that sort of thing plays into it as well. So
we're insecure, we exaggerate things in our head, or at least I certainly do. Like, getting over the border today, there wasn't any border police today. There was nothing, and I had worked myself into a moment where I was like, I was crying on the phone to my and it's like, why am I anxious? And then, I mean, of course, I had God watching over me and all these people. There was no need for me to be anxious. You do that too? You sort of...
Oh, for sure. So like I'll like if I'm thinking about something, like I'll play out all the different sort of, particularly if I have like a decision I need to make, I'll play out all the different scenarios in my head, and I'll always have the worst case scenario come to the forefront and think that will be reality. Like, you know, that's going to happen. And it's like, you know, it's, it's, you know, it's mentally taxing, but I mean, you just got to distract yourself from it after that, you know, like, I find that's the sort of the...
Don't tell you,
how do you do
that?
Yeah.
I bought the Mariah Carey book on Audible, and I was listening to that as I was driving pretty much the whole way. So
there you go.
I'm like quarter of the way into her book of her life story about being biracial and all that. That's what I did anyway. And I prayed, and I spoke on the phone to people.
Exactly. Yeah, I find, like, you know, prayer, or even just like listening to music, watching a video, watching some TV show or something like that, just even exercising or something like that, just, you know, I'm able to get it out of my mind for at least a little while, just, you know, just to focus back in on the here and now. So
we diverted to how does one deal with anxiety.
Exactly, you know.
Touch on everything.
Not a psychologist, you know, that's
just what we do.
Exactly.
I myself with an audiobook, he listens to music, we both pray, it all works.
Exactly.
But sorry, keep going. So I didn't mean to make you go on a tangent. So
oh gosh, I've lost my train of thought now.
We were talking about you got anxious and what
so that sort of like brought me back deeper into my faith as well. Like, so I found like that's, you know, particularly during the tough times, like you sort of come sort of you draw closer to God in a sense in those times, because like if there's at least one person you can trust, it's him. So it's kind of like that sort of brought me back. That sort of allowed me to sort of still have hope and get through those tough times. And I think, you know, no matter what faith we all necessarily are, and, you know, no matter what denomination or anything like that, it's so valuable to have faith in our lives to be able to get through difficult times, like, you know, even that we've been facing over the last few years. It's
so you find
so valuable.
that whilst you were raised as a Catholic, it's always worked for you. So you've had no need to look at the other religions because it's given you the peace you've required. And, and
definitely.
God has, not that he has to, but God has proven himself to you to be real. And well, that's great. I'm really glad to hear it. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you become a Protestant, but still, everything else is awesome. I'm such a cow. All right, now let's talk about what we said we would during our Twitter conversation, and that is okay. First of all, what are your predictions regarding C19 inoculations, the passports, all of that crap?
Yeah.
Because, I can't not go to Melbourne. All my family's there. All my friends are there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I always go home. But what if one day we're required to have a C19 passport? What the hell? I'm not taking the mark. I'm not taking the mark. It's not the mark of the beast, I don't think. But sorry, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that jab. What do you? Okay, let's start with that. Is the jab the mark of the beast, as people are saying? I don't think it is, but I do think it's.
I mean, I've heard people say it. I don't necessarily think it is at this point. I mean, I think like I mean, personally, I don't want to take it at this point, just because I'm more concerned about the long-term effects.
Absolutely.
That's like, you know, that's sort of what's playing in my head. Like I can see how it might be beneficial for people who are like, you know, for like the elderly or people who really need to take it, who are in situations that really, really need it. But for, you know, for young people like myself and for people who don't really need it, who have, you know, good immune systems that can fight off sort of viruses and stuff, I really don't think, you know, I really don't think at this point it is worth taking something that could have potentially catastrophic side effects in the future. Because I mean, at this point, it is still largely experimental.
It is, and I actually put a little post up on my Instagram yesterday showing everyone that the end of the trial is 2022, sometime in May.
Yeah.
So that's why are we taking it?
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure that's even up on Greg Hunt's website or something, on his government website. Yeah. Well, I saw somebody post about that the other day, a few weeks ago, but it's just crazy that, you know.
Oh, here it is. So that's what I posted. Hang on, there it is. It's just going. Hang on. October 2022.
Yeah.
See that estimated time of completion?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I circled it on my Instagram. Yeah. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we taking it? What is wrong with everyone? And it's like, I don't know about all of them. I know there's Johnson & Johnson, there's AstraZeneca, Moderna. I'm missing one.
And Pfizer.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
and those are the four main ones. And each of those have been met with their own controversies and you know, Moderna RNA, it's in the word.
Oh, it's in the name. Yeah, exactly.
That it's going to change your DNA. People are saying it doesn't make you human. You're still human. You're just going to be. Yeah. You're just chemically different than what you were. That's not the usual function of a jab. I was about to say the V word.
No.
The usual function of a jab is to put a little bit in you, and then that will fight it off. Whereas the Moderna works quite differently, and it's sort of. I'm still working on it. I'm going to work on a video series, and I'm answering one question in each video that I'll be doing, answering all these questions. So I still don't have the language down pat, but the point is that it works completely differently.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you know about it? what do you know about what do you know about all of the companies that are making a jab?
I've seen like enough information to tell me that they've had a lot of bad negative sort of outcomes in the past, like with lawsuits and like they've had problems. No, that's and I think if they've had problems in the past, I mean, how is it all now that it's just it's all dandy, it's fine, this one's perfectly fine. There's definitely nothing wrong with this one. Like it's if there's a pattern that's been established there, then it would stand to reason that the pattern holds at this stage. So.
Okay, well, let's talk about how this will all translate in terms of our laws, our restrictions, our rights. What do you? I feel like you have a lot to say. I see your Twitter.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I try to share as many of your posts I mean, I can't post all of them, but
No, exactly.
Yeah, I do share your stuff. I like your stuff. What do you think will happen, say, in the next 2 years, in the next even 6 months, like with this idiocy of like, I feel like we need to have autistic people running the government, and when we'd have a far better result.
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, I wrote like my last piece for The Spectator, which was published last week. Like, I wrote a whole thing about what is likely to come in the winter months. I mean, because with that's generally associated with cold and flu and all that, and I think that to some degree the numbers around COVID, particularly with COVID cases, are somewhat exaggerated. Yeah, C19 cases. You know what? It's just it's not second nature to me yet. Yeah, with C19 cases, I think the numbers are slightly exaggerated to a point. I mean, because
people die of cancer. People die of
exactly. People are dying. More people are dying of other things than that. Like
George Floyd did not die at the hands of a cop. He died at the hands of C19.
It was in his system, yeah. I mean, so I think like over the winter months particularly, they're going to, I mean, let's be honest, once you give politicians power like this, they're very, very unlikely to give it back.
You're so right.
It's right. I mean, power is supposed to be a gift given by the people at least in our country. I mean, we elect people. Exactly. They're supposed to work for us. Like, but at this point, a lot of them are just working for themselves, and they're just they make up the rules as they go.
And arbitrary.
It's just like exactly, and a lot of them are just they don't make sense, and to them it seems like they don't have to make sense. And even when even when people try to hold them to account and they're asked questions like, oh, why is this in place? It doesn't compute. They just sort of try and put it off as if it's just so-called health advice. It's always health advice. I mean, we never see the health advice, but apparently it exists somewhere. I mean, I doubt it does. But yeah, so I think like in the winter months particularly, they're going to start to get back into that sort of phase where they're thinking, we've got this power, we're able to sort of, impose lockdowns, and people are actually supporting this. They're absolute fools for doing so, but I mean, they're just going to follow us to the end of the earth. So I mean, if we tell them to jump, they're going to jump. So so I think like particularly Labor states have been really, bad with lockdowns and like so-called circuit breaker lockdowns and snap lockdowns and all that. It's just, I mean, apparently this Victorian one was supposed to be a circuit breaker, and yeah, that doesn't seem likely anymore. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them extending it another week and another week just so that they can, it's just pathetic at this point.
It really is. Like I had plans. Last Saturday, and that last Saturday I was meant to catch up with two of my girlfriends, beautiful girls, both been on my channel before. It was a birthday dinner, and they pulled out of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, well, we can do something else. And they're like, no, we can't. And I'm like, we can. And so I ended up catching up.
Exactly.
I ended up catching up with a different girlfriend. We went to the park. So I went beyond the 5 kilometer radius. We went to the park. We walked up and down the park, and then we walked, like, there were no shops open, only fast food places were open. And then we went for the walk, and then we started chatting about life or whatever. And I hung out with her for like 2.5 hours. And I'm like, people can still hang out.
Exactly.
I left. I literally just left Victoria. I went beyond that 5 kilometer radius. Like, the cops are not going, they're not like outside. There's not one cop or one security guard or one military person at the end of every street.
Exactly.
Observing to see if you're going to leave your home or not. Everyone watching, please don't comply. Don't wear the mask. I go live almost every single time I'm at a supermarket. Yeah. Not really here in New South Wales, but when I'm in Victoria, I almost always go live, and I'm like, hey, everyone, I'm not wearing my mask. I want people to know that I'm not complying. And I don't do it because I want the views or anything like that. They don't get that many views. I do it because I want people to know I'm not complying. I'm not.
Yeah.
I take photos with my friends doing the wrong thing according to the arbitrary laws, because I want everyone to know that, you know, you don't have to comply. You won't get in trouble.
Exactly.
It's okay. And if you do get in trouble, it's okay. Don't worry.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Like they have all these people getting fined for things, and none of the fines have really been
no, a lot of them have been like thrown out or just, you know, rendered unnecessary.
Exactly. So just come on, guys. Like,
exactly.
I have 2 fines at the moment, a parking fine and a speeding fine, both of which I'm not going to pay. I have a bush lawyer, and which means, like, you know, a rogue lawyer who isn't really a lawyer, but he sort of knows the system and knows how to. I'm not paying these fines. I didn't do anything. Like, I went over 9 kilometers. And the witness of that is a camera. It's not a human being. It's caught me in a station. What's a photo going to do? It's a stationary position, so that you know, I can get out of that. Like, I don't have to pay that, and I won't. And there are too few people not brave enough to challenge the system. I
think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you wear the mask when you're on public transport? Do you wear it when you're on the supermarket?
For me, generally, I don't travel on public transport, so that's
okay,
you know.
well,
but
that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Irrelevant. Do
but
you wear
with,
the mask when there's a soft lockdown?
I mean, I try not to. Let's be honest. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I think people are afraid of. I'm not sitting here telling everyone that I'm the bravest person on earth. I'm not. I was crying earlier today, just having to pass into New South Wales. I was a sook. But the point is, I think I have the Holy Spirit in me, or something that's making me rebel. You know, like Jesus flipped the table and is like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, I did that today when I crossed the border. I did that. That was my flip the table. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. And don't you think that if everyone didn't comply, like I'm not, and like you're trying to not to, and like Italy didn't listen to the government, 2 days later they were back in action, back to normal. That took 2 days. So the government's like, oh, well, we can't stop, you know, however many millions of people there are in that country, so I guess we'll just let them go.
Exactly.
We need that here, and we need to do it before they introduce those VAC passports. Like, that'll change things.
Definitely.
That'll change everything, and our civil democracy, our liberal democracy will forever die if it's not already dead.
Definitely.
What is your analysis of that whole situation, and do you think we can come out of it? Like, are you more optimistic than I am? Because I think, sorry Australians, that you're lazy and chicken and sheep.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at this point that if we don't start to push back, I've been saying, you know, we need to fight back against these sorts of things. And if we don't push back at this point, then, I mean, by the time, if we don't push back before they put in more sort of arbitrary rules and like worse sort of harsher rules, like, you know, particularly limiting interstate travel and limiting sort of where you can go unless you've had the jab, then we're done. Like, that's at that point. Like, if that happens and people don't fight back by that point, then we may as well, you know, just at that point, it's going to be very difficult to come back from that.
There'll be societies.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
There'll be two societies. There'll be those who have shops and restaurants, and they'll be like, no VAC people allowed here, no VAC people here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the like you and I will probably never end up at a shopping center ever again.
Yeah.
We'll have to just buy in like Oxford Street, outside shops type of stuff.
Exactly. And so I think particularly with particularly if you've got family in other states and everything you want to visit. Exactly. Right. So that is why it's so important that we push back now rather than waiting it out, because I think people are often of the opinion probably that they're probably of the line of thinking that, look, I don't have to do it because somebody else is going to do that for me. And
that's what made Trump lose.
Exactly.
The lazy right? Republicans. Oh, you're so right. Oh,
exactly. And so that's what's going to happen if we don't. Like, people need to sort of start to understand that people aren't going to, that people can do it for you, but you've got to do it as well, because, we've got to have more than just those people, those same few people doing what they're doing and speaking out and pushing back against sort of tyrannical type of abuses of power. And I mean, we can't, we obviously have the options of elections at this point, but even then, I mean, I'm very concerned at this point that, given the pattern that's holding up in incumbents retaining their governments, I'm concerned that same thing is going to happen in Victoria next year, and that there's enough people down there that will just go, you know what, Dan Andrews and co, they're fantastic. They're doing a great job. And that's why I was saying today with the whole, because obviously there's a lot of people that are complaining about not having income and everything, and not being able to work because of restrictions. And I thought, you know what, if they're going to go and vote this same government in next election, they really don't deserve any financial benefit from the government or anything at this point, because I mean, they're doing it to themselves. So I think, look, I think there's people that are going to speak out, and there's more people that are starting to speak out, and I think there's more people that are starting to realize gradually that their governments don't have their best interests at heart. But I'm not sure if it's enough at this point. And I think unless we get to a point where there are enough, then we're going to be in a very difficult situation. And it's going to have a pretty draining effect on all of us, I think.
Yeah, like, guys, I can't do all the heavy lifting on my own. You guys have to help.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the thing. I don't actually, as horrible as this sounds, I don't want to be a leader in this space. I really don't. But I feel like at the moment, I'm so insistent about so many different things. I come off to certain family members and friends as an extremist weirdo. And I'm actually not an extremist in any way. I just know what I don't want to happen, and I know what I do want to happen. And I want Australia to go back to what it was just, 3 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not extreme, but because I'm anti so many things now, it's like you develop more information with, like, I was talking to, have you ever heard of a doctor named Dr. Sherry Tenpenny? She's quite well known.
No.
She's an anti-vaxxer, which I'm slowly morphing into, but I still wouldn't call myself that.
Yeah.
But I was talking to someone that she's associated with, and I get a lot of help from the person that she works with, that helps make her bookings and stuff. And she told me an interesting story, and it's pretty much that her in-laws have been inoculated with I don't know whether it's Pfizer, I don't know what it is, but she's not going to let her children hug them. I'm like, why? She's like, well, because to have that means that now they have a 2-year, basically the jab, according to the information that I've been sent by this person, is that in 2 years' time, everyone who has had the jab will make people sick, and they don't know.
Okay.
Yes, and so I don't agree that I feel like that is quite extreme to not allow your own children to hug their grandparents. So I feel like whether left or right, there is extremities going on in terms of divisiveness and division. That is division. Whether she's well intentioned in what she's doing, for sure, but that is division, and that is what these jabs are creating. They're creating fear on both sides. They're creating stupid laws on both sides, and just extreme thinking and extreme rules. We're already divided: gay versus Christian, fat versus skinny, like Muslim versus Jew. We're already divided. So to add vaccinated versus unvaccinated, that is scary.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to, like, if I sat there thinking every single moment about that, I would be depressed. I'd be in the fetal position.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like, what can we do for those of us who consider ourselves more aware, for those of us who consider ourselves politically more aware again, alert? What can we do except for write our articles, do our videos, do our lives? Like, what can we do? I mean, I'm not just doing that. I'm also living it. I'm not wearing the mask. I'm not doing what I'm told to do because I want to be an example if something ever happens and I do get arrested. But what else can we do? We can't call it. It's a prayer, of course, as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we just got to practice what we preach, really. But besides that, we can't do much. Yeah, exactly. You know, there's a lot of talk, but not a lot of action. And I mean, look, I guess that's where credit's due to, like, you know, people on the left and stuff, is that they're very good with activism and with that sort of stuff, whereas we really lack that over on the conservative side. Like, you know, we're not out there on the streets making a lot of noise or anything. We're just sort of tucked away behind a keyboard or something or other, just you know, writing something or speaking on Twitter or Facebook or wherever else. But I think, you know, if we could get more people to sort of start to, I mean, if we had more activism on our side, I think it'd be slightly better. But I mean, I just don't think I don't think conservatives are really that in that sort of mindset. I think they're more sort of stuck in the ways of just writing and sort of playing it from a distant sort of position. Unfortunately, yeah.
All right, I'm going to start reading some of the commentaries, and guys, feel free to start asking the questions. It's that 20-minute part of the show. So my good friend Sandy Turner, who disappeared, he was off the grid for ages. It's good to see you back, Sandy. Corporate socialism is currently being installed by the elites. The time to stand up is now. I think both Joel and I can agree with that.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. My friend Jessie has something to say. Sorry to be a killjoy here, Joel. There will not be enough, period. The AAA of the elite is abulia, loss of will, amnesia, loss of memory, and apathy, loss of interest, programming. Sadly, he could be right, but come on, let's pray for that miracle. Let's pray for, like, all Australians or many to come together.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, prayer is powerful, so I mean, you know, you never know. You never know.
Okay, so this is someone. Oh, Jim Bowden. Hey, dude, haven't seen you in a while. Dear, the jabs are at an experimental stage. I know. I said that at the very start, actually. Do you want to be? No. Where are you? What? I don't think this guy's been listening to me at all, or he just wants to fight me for no reason. But yeah, I have literally said this at the start. So
exactly.
to disregard his commentary because he's not listening or he just wants to fight. All right, let's have a look. So PC Leaks Pete, civil disobedience is the beginning. It is. And
definitely.
that's what we all need to practice, for sure. Okay, so that's it for the current questions. But what else did you want to discuss? I forgot what we said.
I don't know.
All right, let's talk about oh, I don't really remember. Okay, let me see what I wrote. But what are you working on at the moment? Like, are you working on another article, or is it mainly like what are you studying? You're at still university.
So I'm in my second year of uni, studying online with via OUA with Griffith University up in Queensland. So doing a Bachelor of Communications in journalism and creative writing. So
well done.
Yeah.
So nice. I wish I had done that. I feel like there's still time for me to do something in writing. Like that's something I do. I did do a diploma in political science, and I got that. I was super proud of myself for that, and that's just a tiny little nothing compared to like university. But
it takes a time, but you get there eventually. That's the
for sure. No, well done. Is there any particular, I guess the term is thought leaders that you're really into? Like, are you super into like Candace Owens? Do you super love?
I am particularly drawn to Jordan Peterson at this point in time. Like, I literally just finished.
I'm beyond that now, but fair enough.
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a fair few. There's a fair few. I mean, that I listen to and everything. I mean, I say Jordan Peterson only because I just finished his second book like today. So that I probably should have finished it weeks ago, but with given all that's going on, I finally finished it today. And I mean, I just find what he does quite sort of insightful in the sense of how he manages to sort of mix in both sort of his own experience, his experience as a clinical psychologist, his sort of perceptions of the world, and taking stuff from the Bible as well, and putting that into his to what he's discussing in his books and
in his. What bothers me about him?
Sure, go on. Yeah.
So I like Jordan Peterson. I've even been to one of his events in Melbourne, like in 2018, 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
What I don't like about him is that he never answers directly. Someone says, "Are you a Christian?" It's very easy. It's yes.
It's quite interesting, that whole thing, to be honest. Yeah.
Gosh, it's infuriating. I had a guy on my show. He's a friend of the YouTuber Bearing. So his name is Mark, and he's a lovely person. But he kept asking, he kept pushing me to answer these particular questions. And when I started to talk around it, I realized what I was doing. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Yes, this is what that is. And then I checked myself. So then I did the same thing back to him. I forgot what the question was now. And he kept talking around it. It pissed me off. And it pisses me off when anyone does it. When someone gives you a question in a debate-ish type style, answer it directly. Like, you can add your layers later, but like be like, okay, so I think this is, and he does the same thing. And I think the answer is that he is a Christian, but not. I don't know if he's a saved Christian. But he's certainly culturally Christian.
I think he's particularly in like the last year or so. I think he's sort of come more towards that, and he's started to sort of. He's starting to, I guess, realize that more as he goes along. I think I even just like I've read a lot about what him and his family have been through like over the last couple of years, and I mean that'd be enough to really damage anyone mentally. But I think that sort of led him to this part put him on this path where he's sort of starting to realize that he is sort of. I think he's sort of understanding that he's more Christian than I think. He's starting to come to that understanding, and I've
noticed the same.
Yeah. I mean, he might not admit it just yet, but I think soon. I think he's getting to that point, and
I think so too.
It's taking time, but I guess you could say God's working on him. So
good.
Yeah.
And some of the other people that you like, can you think of anyone?
So I mean, I particularly enjoy listening to Michael Knowles because of the Daily Wire, because he is just, just because the way he presents things is just hilarious, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the humor he injects into it. You know, he just like he you know, even with serious topics and stuff, he'll just add a bit of something in there, add a bit of snark in there, just to keep it lively and keep it funny, keep it entertaining. Yeah, exactly. You can't. And I mean, I often watch clips of from his show on YouTube, and oftentimes I'm finding myself just like, you know, having a good laugh listening to what he's saying. I mean, there's a lot of crazy out there, but he makes some good points out of it. So yeah, Michael Knowles. I sort of started off in terms of thought leaders. I started off with people like Stephen Crowder and Ben Shapiro and stuff like that. So
I love Stephen Crowder, but you know, you start to. I used to be a part of the Mug Club, and I watched the show.
Same. Yeah, same. And then I sort of just
so much. You become so consumed by it. Not consumed by it, but it becomes so much. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Too much to take in all the time.
Exactly. So I mean, I used to like watching his weekly sort of Guru Crowder segment, his life advice thing. And I mean, you know, I signed up to Mug Club just so I could see some more of him and stuff, like particularly when I was in sort of like a in-between year of not studying and everything. And like, you know, that was good. But like at some point I just thought, I'm not really watching it as much. So there's probably no point continuing on with this, you know. So I mean, I had it for about a year, and then just, you know, I just thought I'll just watch clips on YouTube. That's good enough for me.
That'll do me well.
Yeah, exactly.
I do quite like Ben Shapiro, but there are certain reasons that I've backed away a little bit from him as well.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable.
I'll tell you, his voice is very distinctive. Let's just say. I mean, you can tell.
Have you seen the impression that you know Stephen Crowder does of him?
Oh yeah. I saw an impression that he did of Jordan Peterson a few years back, and it was just almost spot on.
Really?
Like, good. I just cracked up.
Has a good ear.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you can do impressions like that, then good on you. You know, I mean, like, power to you for doing it.
You know what I'm hoping will happen? Tell me what you think about this little random theory. I think what will happen is there'll be a split, and there already is a split. But like, you know how Christian movies are not that good, and they're kind of shitty, and the only good ones are the ones that they've invested time in, like God's Not Dead or like The Case of Christ. So those movies are good because there's a bit of money put into it. I feel like there's going to be a separation. Like the Daily Wire is now even investing in media and entertainment.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a thing, and I think
so. Yeah.
I think Christian content and conservative content in movies will start to do really well, and then Hollywood will. I think there'll be a challenge there, and I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah, and once that comes into play, that could affect the whole C19, the jabs, airplanes.
Yeah.
There'll be two different societies running simultaneously. I think something like that's going to happen. It's not going to be.
It seems like it's going that way. Yeah.
It does.
Because I mean, particularly with the Daily Wire, like, you know, I mean, they just brought on Candace Owens with her show and everything, and they're starting. I think they're starting to invest in a lot more sort of outspoken conservatives and giving them the opportunity to do that. And creating their own sort of network in a sense.
They're yet to discover us. I mean, we'll
I mean, you know, in time. But yeah, I think like, I mean, even like, because particularly I've been getting into Turning Point USA and stuff as well, like Charlie Kirk and Isabel Brown and all that.
They're calling him a grifter. A lot of people.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know what the go is there. Yeah, I mean, I've been
questions. I think he's very much like the Young Turks, and he doesn't accept questions like they would have. It's not as free as it once was. It was better when Candace was out. Now that she's out, they're trying to find the new Candace, and a lot of the girls that they have there are not particularly conservative. Like they wear like skimpy clothes, which is fine. I wear skimpy clothes, but what I mean is they're like taking off their their bikinis and they're being caught out with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't do that. I dress sexy when I'm going out to a dinner or something, but it's never, I don't think, breaking any limit. And people would have told me by now if I was not being
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think oh gosh, there was something I was going to say, but I forgot. No, but I think no, that's all right. No, it's all good. It's all good. It'll come back to me, at some random point. But I mean, I was watching. I watch a lot of Isabel Brown's stuff. She's with TPUSA as well. And I actually got a copy of. I don't know, but I got her. I got her book just because she wrote a book about like the whole university system over in America and everything, and what it's like being inside that and having to deal with all the obvious, the monopoly that the sort of left wing have on those institutions. And I mean, I haven't gotten around to reading it yet because, I mean, Jordan Peterson writes a heck of a lot and very complex in a very complex manner sometimes. So it just takes a bit of time to process sometimes. So I haven't gotten around to reading. I've got like 5 or so books that I've got to get around to reading, and people keep recommending me more and everything, and I'm just like, I've got too many already. I'll get to them at some point. But yeah. So I think like those sorts of people. I think far out. There was a good point I was going to make. I forgot what it was. No, it's all good.
I'm learning.
It's all good. It's all good. I try to remember things in my mind, and then it just slips because some other thought comes in. But I mean, there was somebody else that I was watching the other day. I mean, when I started out, I was watching like people like Milo Yiannopoulos and all that sort of stuff, and then I sort of strayed away from him and went more towards the Crowders and the Shapiros and all that, because I think he got a bit crazy at that point. I mean,
I think when you become that famous,
I think it starts to.
It does, because I admired him. I was like, wow, a gay guy defending Christians.
That was interesting to me at that point. And
it was brand new. I'd never ever seen that in my life. He was the first gay person who identified with Christians. I mean, he says that we're the younger retarded cousin of you guys, but like of the Catholics. But like, I was like, wow, what an amazing guy this Milo is. I have my own reasons that I backed away from him, but I won't dismiss or berate his incredible effect that he's had.
I think, for sure. I mean, I think as well, that was what I was going to say. Because I think when you mentioned the Young Turks, I thought, you know what? Those people I cannot stand watching. I honestly, honestly, like I remember watching the election coverage last year for the US election, and seeing a bit of just checking in to see how the Young Turks were doing at a point when Trump was doing fairly well. And, Cenk Uygur was just blowing his, he was just off his head about things, ripping into Democrats, ripping into whoever he could rip into. And it's just like, oh man, it's just ridiculous.
Have you seen Steven Crowder do Cenk?
Oh yeah. I saw the bit he did where he walked up to him while he was on stage, and that's just like, it's just spot on. It's just, he knows how to get to people like that. It's just,
and then Cenk is like, oh, this guy makes a living off being me. I'm like, no, he doesn't make a living off being you, but he's certainly good at being.
Exactly. And I remember when Crowder's shows actually overtook the Young Turks in terms of subscribers and popularity and views and everything. And he said, I don't want to. We're only going to have a go at them one more time because I don't want to beat down on the competition, But like, he even did like a nice little impression of him at the end there, just to rub it in. Just, I mean, which is, that's just standard Crowder at that point. I mean, but particularly in Australia as well. Like, I like listening to people like people like Rowan Dean and like Ross Cameron when he was on Outsiders. I really enjoyed listening to him.
Was on my show not that long ago either.
Yeah, he is honestly. He has such a great mind in a sense. Like he's really well spoken. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, him and like Rowan and people like Rita Panahi as well. She's really she's really doing well for herself. She's
really.
I just love, I love it when she just smacks down Nicholas Reese whenever he's on. That's just some of the stuff he gets into. It's just
big admirer there.
Yeah.
So someone's asked you, Jessie Bell, Joel, you are moving further right. Soon you will be where I am. I would hazard the hard right, not the far right larpers. What's the difference, Jessie, between far right and hard right? I have a feeling.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, but he's not saying that you're a white nationalist. I don't think.
No, not going down that path. No.
Fair enough. What do you both have to say about the Poland-born Canadian preacher Arthur Pawlowski? Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I knew who that was. Is that someone?
Oh yeah. So I wrote a piece on this a few weeks ago. Yeah. I wrote for the Good Source about that a couple of weeks ago. That article did really well.
Christian persecution.
There's a lot. I mean, look, you'd expect Christian persecution from somewhere like China or something at this point. I mean, that's expected. But to see it happening in Canada, that is quite concerning, because I mean, what happens in sort of Canada and probably the US and everything can easily happen in Australia. And to see, somebody arrested for basically I think he was charged with like inciting people to go to church or something. And that's just when that became a crime, like that's just beyond me. But like it's even sort of.
Tell me this: would they arrest a rabbi? Would they?
That is what I'm wondering. Would they arrest? Exactly. Mm-hmm. Do they hold them all to the same account, to the same sort of degree of account, or would they only target one particular religion? And Indeed. It seems that Christianity is the one that they seem to target more than any other.
Well, we are the worst religion to be. We will be persecuted.
Oh, for sure. For
centuries.
For sure. I mean, that's been the case for a long time.
Already.
Since the time of Jesus Christ and all that. And, I mean, now it's just, I mean, you would have hoped that it would have subsided by now at least, but it doesn't show any sort of sign of doing that. And to see that happen in Canada, I mean, there's, I think, at least him and two other priests that have been arrested in total now. One was in a cell for like a month. And then another one, I'm not sure what happened to the other one because he was arrested about a week after. But even in Melbourne, I think there was a guy, a pastor who was arrested for.
Arby reported on that. Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole story, but I mean, if that's the case, then that's quite concerning that it's happening in Australia now. I mean, they'll do anything to sort of.
Of course, it happened in Victoria.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, that's a given at this point. But particularly in sort of time of C19 and all that, I think they're using that as an excuse to try and stop people going to church, to stop people, practicing their religion. And
it's the story of Daniel.
Exactly.
Prayer illegal. That's what they're doing now.
Oh, for sure. And I think because of that particularly last year when all the lockdowns were occurring and everything, I think a lot of people sort of got used to attending mass online instead of actually going to church and being with people in the community and everything. And I think that's sort of, unfortunately, continued on even after the restrictions were lifted and everything. And I think less people found that sort of to be a way to sort of get out of going to mass and all that, or going to, a church service. And it's sort of sad in a way. I mean, but Yeah, I think definitely the arrest of priests and pastors in that area is a very concerning thing and something that we really need to watch closely, because who knows what it could spiral into.
Very true. Australian Protectionist Party has said that the Milo is now supposed to be running a conversion therapy clinic. Actually, I watched the interview that he did with the beautiful Lauren Chen, and I actually that he didn't use the term conversion therapy clinic. He used the word I forgot, it was an R word, and so it's like restorative or reparative. I forget what he said, but yeah. So, but I think it's good that he's really trying. I don't know why he credits Saint Joseph for that rather than like.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, to be honest. Did
you watch that? Did you see that?
I saw that he said he was like, he was going to consecrate himself to Saint Joseph or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
odd. Like, why not just
which is interesting. Christ? Yeah, exactly.
And she called him out on it, and he pushed back as he does.
I mean, yeah, that's what he does. I mean,
I quite respected her saying that, because she was obviously coming at it from a very Protestant view, and he's like, oh, but you know what I mean? I actually like that you also find that unusual.
It's interesting, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know really what to make of it, to be honest. It's quite, yeah. I mean, you'd think you just give it to God instead of, I mean, I don't know.
I would give it to God.
Each to their own.
I don't really approve.
I mean, obviously Milo's still working things out at some point, I think. I mean,
it's worth, he deserves the praise he's getting.
For sure.
Rebuking sin in the form of same-sex attraction.
Exactly. That's a big thing to, that's a big step. That is a huge step.
Especially for a man in his late 30s, right? It's like...
Exactly.
If it had happened when he was heaps younger, there's time, there's room for all of that. But he's been well set in his marriage to a... Like that is hard.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show that, I mean, anyone is capable of change. It's even at a late stage in life, you can still come to God. I mean, that's the
exactly right. I just want to respond to something happening in the chat. So Richard Bonner asked the question about the persecution of the guy in Canada. And Bowden, you seem to have an issue with the fact that we're discussing something that happened 2 months ago. But Richard had a valid question. Of course, we're going to respond to it. So I'm not really sure. Like, are you trying to dictate like what questions I'm allowed to put on the screen? Come on, guys. Like, come on. The guy had a question and we responded to it, and it's going to keep happening. It's actually not old news. Preachers will keep getting put into prison, and they'll keep being made an example of, and we need to discuss it. Like, it's not right. Like, and
exactly.
I'm not just sitting here saying that as a Christian. If it happens to an imam, if it happens to a rabbi, I will also say that's not right. It's not right that they get arrested.
Exactly.
No, it's not. And
that applies across the board. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you are. Just
absolutely right. Yeah. So, what else hey, you're pro-life?
Yes. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Definitely.
I approve of you, Joel.
I'm glad to hear it.
Not that you need my approval for anything.
No.
I'm nobody, but no, you're a cool cat, and I'm really pleased to have connected with you.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
This is a good time as any. We've gone beyond the hour, so we're good. I've really enjoyed. Have you enjoyed your first live ever?
Oh, definitely. I'm hoping to do more. So I mean,
Yeah, I guaranteed the fun factor, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly. You held true to your promise there, so that's good.
That's me, baby. Well, I'm excited to collaborate again, to do more things. I would love to meet you when I'm back in Sydney. Let's catch up. Coffee on me.
Fantastic. Yeah. And have a read of that blog series if you get a chance at some point. I mean,
can you link me to it? And if
definitely.
true. I'll share
Definitely,
it
yeah. So I try to write, I'll just say with that as well, I try to write in such a way that it's understandable to people who are not necessarily religious as well, or who might have, you know, who might have the urge to sort of find out more. So I'm hoping this will draw more people sort of towards Christianity and sort of make them, give them the capability to at least to at least sort of understand it a little more, and you know, to sort of connect with it a bit more on a personal level. Yeah.
The thing that I like about Ben Shapiro is that when people quote the Bible, he's like, no, I'm not going to listen to your point of authority. He goes, let's go from another angle, because like, just because you recognize that as your point of authority doesn't mean I'm going to have to recognize, because this whole second half of the Bible would be irrelevant to a Jewish person. And just like for an atheist, when a Christian starts quoting from the Bible, it just doesn't work. So
no,
like,
exactly.
you need to be able to quote from another, either another source or from something that you can both recognize. And I
exactly.
admire that's a smart, so the way you write to me sounds
to personalize it at least, and to put it in perspective for people to be able to connect it to like their own lives and the way they live and everything. I think it's sort of a better chance of actually helping people to understand not only the Bible, but understand sort of their own thoughts, and understand sort of where they are in life. So, and make sense of their own situations. So
Joel is a man, a legend. Who is Chris Bettiol?
Oh, I know who that is. That's my cousin. Yeah, that's my cousin. Yeah. So that, you know, yeah. I knew he'd say something on here. Let's be honest.
That's awesome. Well, he sounds super supportive. Sadly, I don't have family that watches and supports me like that, so it's good to see. Well done, good cousin.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it for today's live stream. Next week, I will come back to you with a brand new live. I have a feeling it's the Bush lawyer that I was talking about that's helping me get over a couple of cases. So next week will be the Bush lawyer on my channel, showing and telling everyone how to get out of all fines and that kind of stuff. So it'll be a good show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We had a nice amount of viewers today, so thank you, Joel.
Good, yeah.
Agius.
Yeah, got it right, yeah. Maltese descent there, you know. Yeah. Good old Malta.
Good old Malta.
Yeah.
Good Malta for making Joel. All right,
yeah. All right, thanks.
Oh, wait. Do you want to plug anything? Plug anything?
Sure. Yeah, I'll just plug my blog at least. You know, that would be a good thing to plug. So jjsoutlook.com. And I've got that linked on Twitter and on Facebook, and I've also got like a Ko-fi page linked on Facebook. On Twitter, and you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on mainly on Twitter. That's where I do all my political stuff anyway. So
I'll give me all those links.
Definitely.
By the way, I popped your cherry.
Anyway, I'll give you the links. I'll give you the links anyway, so that I'll send you those links after we're done, and we can add them to everything, and people can come read my stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Guys, I meant live streaming cherry. Look at the comments. All right, bye. Ending broadcast.